The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. Good crack noon to our friends on the East Coast. I am Todd Obert, President and CEO of Productive. Alongside me, virtually, but in, well, not even in the same area code, but in the same geographic region, is Mr. Pete Greco, our VP of Sales and Technology. Today, we are going to be talking about MDR and MTR and EDR and XDR. So all of them combined in one. Hopefully, you've been thinking about it. Probably necessary technology, given the geopolitical landscape that we are in. Just heard more talk about the Ruskies trying to promote cyber attacks. So anyway, we'll get into that and more. But first, we're going to meet Productive in 1 minute, and then we will talk about what's happening in the threat landscape and what you can do to make yourself more secure. So with that, let's meet Productive in 1 minute. Well, who is Productive Corporation? Well, thank you for asking, even though you're muted. Productive Corporation provides security solutions for mid-sized companies. We offer you specialized expertise to answer technical licensing questions. We also test, implement, and optimize the products that we do. We help with security assessments, 80 security services, config assistance, virtual CISO. We also promote and produce tons of third-party content on our website. All that can be found at productivecorp.com/solving security. The bottom line here, we can help. Whether it's implementation, assessment, licensing, or optimization services, send us a note, help@productivecorp.com. Or if you have a rotary phone, dial us up, 612-375-0204. So as I mentioned at the top, our good friend Pete Greco, VP of Sales and Technology, is going to be talking about MDR and what's happening in the threat landscape, so that it makes it necessary for you not only to have standard endpoint security, but have something that is proactively looking, hunting, and remediating your threats out there. So, or you doing it or having a service. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Mr. Pete Greco. Pete?
Hello, hello. Tio, tell me if you can see my screen. I'm not sure if I'm sharing the right.
I see the right
screen.
I see that.
Okay.
Picture from you this summer.
All right, let me just switch. There we go. How about now?
Bingo.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody, for hopping on with us today. We really appreciate your time. For me, the fun thing is always talking to you about network security and cloud security, but always love to get on these webinars just to see what funny things Todd is going to say. Also makes it quite enjoyable. Sometimes hard to actually do the presentation, but because I'm laughing so hard, but fun to be here. So what are we talking about today? I think you know already, but I'm going to say it again. MDR, MTR, Managed Detection and Response, or Managed Threat Response. So what's going on? Threats have continued to evolve and are going to continue to evolve. And there's so much to keep up with that most organizations simply cannot keep pace with monitoring and remediating threat activity that's occurring in your environment, right? The days of simply detecting an infected file and being able to move on are long gone. And today's hackers have continued to modernize by figuring out how to use your system against you. The new attack platforms are not just observing how things are working, right? That's the first part of it. They're installing or leveraging tools that are already installed in your network. And a lot of these are things that you might be using, like PowerShell and TeamViewer, and in the case of the threat that we're going to talk about, AnyDesk, right? So a lot of things that are there that are observed to be good in your network are getting leveraged to use against you, as well as bad malware. In many cases, the attacking organizations, if they don't have the expertise, they can purchase or rent these tools from other hackers in order to add expertise that they don't have in order to perpetrate a successful compromise. To get started on the dark side can be as easy as buying a contact list off the dark web and subscribing to a few malware as a service or ransomware as a service platforms to get started in your brand new life of crime. I hope you guys don't do that, but that's how it can get started. You start mixing in large hacking teams and nation-state-backed groups like China's APT-27 or the Russian-backed Sandworm organization, and you've got your hands full. And how do you think your security budget matches their attack budget when you're talking about somebody that's backed by a government, right? Impossible to keep up. One of the newer examples of ransomware as a service is this Avos locker. It was first discovered, I think it was June or July of last year. I can't remember which month, but not that long ago, and has been rolling strong. This ransomware can be mixed with other exploit kits or attack platforms, so it can be a piece of the attack, a pretty severe piece, but a piece of a huge attack, which a lot of these attack platforms are doing multiple things to bring you down, steal your data, compromise user credentials, compromise AD, ransom you, sell your info on the dark web. That can be a part of just one attack, right? This is using a lot of commonly seen tools like PuTTY and PowerShell. If you're an AnyDesk user, you're not even going to notice how they're leveraging AnyDesk to complete the attack and start ransoming your network. And take a look at the service that you get from the Avos Locker ransomware as a service team. And because they get a cut of every ransomware that you're able to collect, right, they're pretty motivated to make sure hackers have everything they need to complete their attacks and get paid. So take a look at these bullets. Right, some of the notable ones here, removal of shadow copies. If you've got a system that's leveraging shadow copies to roll back malicious activity, the first thing they want to do is knock that offline, delete those shadow copies, so that feature is null. A pretty interesting one, and I'm sure other ransomwares do this. I haven't caught it myself. Killing of processes with open files. That way you don't miss encrypting a single document because it was in use. And if the victim is not paying, they actually have a phone service where they'll call and make threats and encourage them to get the information to the right people so that they want to pay that ransom. That's how they're going to get paid ultimately, right? So a lot of you on this call are saying, I've already purchased an elite solution from you, Pete. We're good. Right? You said to buy this stuff. That's what we did. Here we are. So first of all, thank you. And you did purchase an elite solution from us, hopefully. Our advanced solutions with XDR or EDR can stop and block threats from executing. The challenge that we're facing, though, is not can we kill the ransomware, but how do we hunt down and eliminate all of the things that happened for that ransomware to get to the point where we detected and killed it. Leaving these footholds behind or not understanding what vulnerabilities allowed a threat to get that far can allow an opportunity for an attacker to collect data on what went right and what went wrong with their attack and come back with a modified or a completely different attack set in order to complete the compromise. Or they might even, once they've got that foothold or that access, they might sell it to an entirely different group who can come in and try and have more success, or maybe it's going to do something completely different. They might not care about ransomware. They just want to steal credentials, or they want to use you as a bot or crypto jacking or a million different reasons why these guys are coming in and trying to do something different outside of ransomware. In the Avos example, Some things that would have been left behind might be Cobalt Strike, and recently spoke with some of the folks who developed that product. The interesting thing here is it is actually quite difficult for a legitimate organization to buy Cobalt Strike because of all the proof you have to put forth to ensure that you're a legitimate company who wants to use this to test their own network, run blue team and red team tests and this kind of stuff. But the hackers have these compromised versions that are widely available on the dark net. So Cobalt Strike is actually, or the owners of Cobalt Strike are doing their part to keep it legit, but it's already out there and it's getting used against all of us, right? PuTTY is out there, advanced IP scanner. There might be registry keys that have been created to help establish persistence. These indicators of compromise need to also be identified and eradicated, patched, locked down, have access controlled with strong passwords and MFA to ensure that hackers or other hackers can't continue the campaign to steal your money and steal your data. This is why your cyber insurer is telling you you need an XDR or EDR solution. And if you haven't heard that yet, stand by. It's coming your way. A lot of you have already heard this message, and we've been talking to you about this as well as cyber training, right, and MFA. This is going to give you the tools to monitor and hunt for indicators of compromise, IOCs, and remnants of attacks, and help you identify the entire kill chain so that you're not just breaking it, you're eliminating it from the environment. Endpoint antivirus and advanced malware detection is the automated part of the tool set. It does as much as it can without you pushing any or maybe too many buttons. XDR and EDR are the tools that you use to come back and investigate. You're now leveraging your knowledge to be able to face off against active adversaries, hunt them down, and remove them. Unless you don't have time to keep an eye on the threat landscape, do all the threat research that you need to do to figure out what's going on, and learn how to use these tools, and then still be able to go home on Friday night and enjoy the weekend, right? If you're in that position, and many of us are, in comes managed threat detection or managed threat response. Kind of depends on the organization that you're speaking with on what it's called. But at the base level, this is a team of information security professionals who do nothing but research, hunt, contextualize, and then they apply these skills to your environment. They have knowledge on what verticals are being targeted and how they're being targeted, and then they can proactively look for those signs of attack. So if they're figuring out energy companies are getting this kind of an attack in the Northeast, well, they can start looking for that kind of an attack in all of their energy company clients across the whole North America, right? Or governments, or schools, or whatever it might be. There's some attacks that really have no vertical target. There's other attacks that very specifically want to get a certain kind of organization. Could be manufacturers, maybe it's law firms, whatever. So they have that knowledge, they're contextualizing it, they're putting it together. Some services will do this monitoring and detection and alert you when you need to be involved. And some of them will take the next step and do the remediation so you can be minimally involved. And they really give you the capability to be as engaged or on the sidelines as you want to be, or as you're required to be, because you have so much other stuff going on in your day-to-day, right? So the features that you get are really what's required to stay safe in this ever-evolving threat landscape. Human intelligence supplementing the artificial intelligence that you're already using, right? Confirming suspicious activity is in fact okay or is in fact bad. Applying what has already been witnessed globally in your network and stacking these hard to find and super expensive. If you've gone out and looked at the data on the cost of these guys, because they're few and they're getting sucked up by the huge enterprise think Fortune 100 and 500 organizations with massive security teams out there, right, sucking these guys up. They're pretty hard to find, and the prices for them are extremely high. And now you can have an organization who is staffing them around the clock, and not just a security guy, right? Security researchers, security analysts, data scientists, different roles that are combined to give you really a valuable experience and capability. And this allows you to continue handling the other parts of your role that might not have anything to do with security. Was there a question there, Todd?
Yeah. So, I mean, traditionally, you needed to have an InfoSec member of your team to really take advantage of EDR. But with XDR, is that becoming something that's, maybe you obviously need to know your systems and need to do some threat hunting or have the capacity to do that, but is that more accessible technology, or is that?
Yeah. No, and so first, great point. Let me talk about the differences between EDR and XDR. Typically, what XDR is referring to is the ability to look at data for machines that are now offline. So data getting stored in the cloud. So maybe you've had an attack, you've done your best to clean it up. You've re-imaged one of the machines or the key machine that was involved, and you're kind of figuring out, there's more investigation. I need to know some info. That machine has now been rebuilt, so we can't collect any data off of it. Now we're going to go and collect that data from the cloud. And that could be for a period of 30 days or 60 days or a lot of different lengths of time. But that's really where XDR is enhancing EDR, but still complicated tool sets that you got to learn how to use, and you got to know what you're looking for. And you got to pull in not just other tools, but other resources like the MITRE ATT&CK framework site or Virus Total or other threat research sites to know what you're looking for, or to know what all the components of the attack are, so that you can go out and do that hunt and that remediation. And the big challenge, even as Todd's saying, what if you got a guy? The big challenge is, even if you have a guy, he's probably still super busy and overwhelmed and has to go home at night, or might have to go to his kid's conference, or might have to go to the doctor once in a while, or take a day off. So then who's backing him up when he's gone? Right? And again, that's where this service comes into play. So what you're getting from that, right? 24/7 threat detection and response, proactive threat hunting. So that's, you haven't been compromised yet. We're not getting any alerts in the dashboard, but we know city of and county ofs are getting this kind of threat this week or this month. We're just actively looking for the signs that occur when that threat is getting started. Human intelligence backing up artificial intelligence, right? And a lot of times a global view on what's going on, so that we're ready when it's happening in our region, in our city, in our country, whatever it might be. And these services may or may not include remediation, but even getting an instruction set on what you need to do to remediate without you having to go and do a whole bunch of research to figure out what's even going on, right, is going to be a huge time saver, and get that kill chain eradicated from your environment. A couple different ways to acquire this kind of capability. Our favorite at Productive Corporation is when it can be integrated from your endpoint provider to add that capability, because now they're leveraging the agents that you've already got deployed. Those agents are collecting a ton of telemetry already, and so there's not a ton to do to get that service running, other than maybe an onboarding call and some information as far as, when do you want to be contacted? When do you want to get a phone call at 3 a.m.? And when do you just want to get an email that you'll see when you check your email first thing in the morning? Right? Not every threat is going to cause you to hop into your car and drive into the office. but there potentially are some that would cause that to happen, or maybe you're going to use VPN and RDPN, right? A couple of different ways to get there. Now, if you're running a solution where the provider does not offer that kind of capability, there are standalone MDR offerings that will integrate with the solution that you have, typically through an API. There's a couple of different ways that it can happen, and you can still get that same kind of service. A lot of times they may have to deploy a different agent or an additional agent to complete visibility, depending on what your solution is. If you're running a top solution that doesn't have that, they might be able to get all the information they need through that API. So you're not eliminated from this because you're not running the right endpoint. If you are, it can make it easier, but you can take advantage of this great offering or these great offerings almost no matter what solution you're using. Right? So a great opportunity. If you want to learn more, myself and your Productive Corp rep would love to talk with you and help you get a better understanding of all the things that MDR or MTR can help you accomplish in your network.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's all I got.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Really appreciate that great presentation, great overview of MTR for everybody.